Has anyone's throwaway account not worked? As in someone connected the dots and knew it was you? What happened after? One of my good friends posted his suicide note on Reddit the day he killed himself. Luckily I added his account to the near useless friends feature. His note on here actually had much more written than the note that was physically left behind, so it gave a lot of closure to his friends. I'm the one who showed him how to use Reddit, and I hadn't spoken more than a handful of words to him in a year and a half. I don't think he knew I had saved him as a friend as soon as he wrote his username, so he thought he'd be posting anonymously. I was sloppy and posted content to my Facebook page that made the front page when I posted it to Reddit. I realized odds were good that some of my Facebook friends who frequented Reddit had connected the dots. I stressed about this for a week or so, then realized all accounts should be throwaway accounts. Anonymity on Reddit is worth much more than maintaining a continuous Reddit history. I created this account with an impossible to remember name. I stopped using the other account. I'll use this account for a few more months, then create a new account with a similarly obscure name. It's so relaxing knowing for sure no one ever knows who I am. I knew those posts were yours. This actually started as my throwaway, when I realized how stupid it was that I used my real name for my Reddit name. People who I didn't want finding it realized I was on Reddit, and it was heck. I maintain both the accounts, and one more, and I put innocuous stuff on the first one so that they don't think I deactivated and shifted shop. Oh, what a tangled web we weave. I've read fanfiction on and off since I was a kid. There's a lot of crap out there, but there are also some real gems, and the longer you spend in that community the easier it gets to find the good stuff. I don't mention this hobby to the people I know IRL, because it's kind of dorky in the fanfic which people who aren't in the community are mostly aware of tends to be either kinky, poorly written, or, in the case of 50 Shades of Grey, both. So anyway, one day I'm browsing through stories based on a movie I had recently enjoyed. I'd enjoyed the character interactions and I'm jonesing for something that recreates the movie's snarky dialogue. I find a couple of possible fanfics that seem like they might hit the spot, and the summary for one of them mentions that it's the author's take on what it might be like if the characters from this movie worked in a different industry. It happens to be the industry I work in, so now I'm intrigued. The story is good. Very good actually. It's got the dialogue and character interactions I'm looking for, and it makes a good case for why the characters might have been drawn to this industry and how they might have used their talents there. The ending in particular speaks to me. The author has managed to nail down exactly what it is that I love about working in this industry. That alone is enough to convince me that the author works in my industry too. One of the subplots in the story has the characters struggling with an unnamed piece of new software which goes wrong in specific ways and has to be patched, causing different problems. Everything about this description, from the problems to the timeline to the descriptions of the fix, are incredibly familiar, because they had literally just happened at my workplace. We were one of only 2 companies in the country to have signed up as early adopters for an exciting but buggy new piece of software. Getting that software into a usable state for our industry had been my job, and now here I was reading a story about one of my favorite movie characters doing the exact same thing. I knew I hadn't written the story, so it had to be my opposite number at the other company. A year later I met up with them at an industry conference and confirmed it. It was the weirdest goddamn coincidence. Please tell me when you finally met them you leaned in and whispered, "Hey bro, I love that fanfic you wrote," and watched them blanch. Yep. So I gave up and I use my main now. I used a throwaway to post an RA said by narcissist, and my mother, who is not formally diagnosed with anything but is and has been medically and emotionally abusive, found something I posted. The story was specific enough in details that it was either me or my sister, and she correctly guessed that I'm the Redditor in the house. Mostly, what happened was that she tried repeatedly to tell her side of the story, which the mods instantly shut down. It's a support group, not her personal soapbox, but that didn't seem to make a difference. She then went on a rampage in real life and printed out my post to show family and friends. A lot of people sympathized with her, but a few people privately contacted me and supported me. It was an unexpected blessing. I now use my main account for my support group needs. There is pending legal action against her for financial fraud, and I have nothing to hide. If she wanted me to tell good stories about her, she'd be a better person to me. Wow, her reaction to that pretty much reinforced your reason for posting there in the first place. Oh. A girl I went to high school with wrote gay fan fiction about Doctor Who. It didn't take long for the link to spread throughout the school. On the same website there was Jesus and John Noah gay fan fiction as well. I tightened my grip on the rough bale of hey, Jesus. I cried. Nail me hard. I know what my best friend's account name is. She is not actually a good person at all. Nothing she says to me is her genuine position. Oh well. So, her being your best friend seems counterintuitive. I had a Gone Wild account. My roommate found it when he borrowed my phone once. I didn't think he would bother checking my Reddit, considering that Alien Blue allows more than one account and you can toggle between them. Fast forward months later and I'm dating his friend. He sent all the links to my parents. We lived in my parents' place, he subleased a room. So my parents obviously knew it was my bedroom and bathroom. Cue him wrecking my car, then getting kicked out. But that is what a throwaway is for, an account with which you post identifying stuff. So if someone you know sees it, it doesn't matter, because they can't see your posts in Arkham and figurines. My friend found my main account a while back, and not that I was into weird crap or anything, it's just my comments and posts were personal and stupid, etc. Anyways, one day I come into school and a few people start saying stuff to me. I take no notice until I remember, wait, I posted that on Reddit a few weeks ago. Then my friend brings up all the comments I've made from over a year prior. I confronted him and he denies it. Snook up on him one day on his laptop scrolling through Reddit. Lo and behold, it's my account. So I spend the next 3 days looking for his account. He tells me the username doesn't link with his name or anything related to him. So I start bragging about upvotes on certain threads he browses, hoping for something I can find. He, being as cocky as he is, starts saying his question on Reddit should have made front page and that it only got 4 comments. I ask him what it was and he vaguely describes it with one word. Went home, looked up the word, sort by most recent, find thread with 4 comments, checks account, boom, read some comments and found some weird crap. He doesn't know that I have his account name, but frick him. Lo and behold. I was always a lurker, but never had an account. I wanted to ask our relationships question to get multiple perspectives on my relationship problem. Anyways, my so was cheating on me. The girl he cheated on me with was a Redditor. Found my posts and figured it was me even though I used different names. Printed them out and brought them to my medical practice. Me and the main doctor were like, what are you trying to accomplish? You're the skank my ex was sleeping with, and you are a patient here? I didn't put anything bad in the posts. I remember she handed them out to patients in the waiting room and they were all so confused what she was trying to do. It was hilarious. Despite the fact that she herself is a joke, the joke's now on your ex for cheating on a person with a wonderful profession with a psychotic lunatic. See, I've never had this problem because I just don't use throwaways. Although that will probably end up biting me in the butt if anyone I know IRL figures out who I am. I've always maintained that people shouldn't go hunting for information they aren't ready for. I am who I am. I embellish a little and sometimes I'm joking for a reaction. Even so, there isn't much on my account that I wouldn't answer honestly if asked directly. I don't use throwaways. I don't know anyone on Reddit, and no one I know uses it. And I don't have any secrets big enough to warrant a throwaway. Yeah. So what if my neighbor finds out I watch incest P and panel? Who cares? If your neighbor is your sister, she might care. Not me, but my husband's and my friend is fairly popular artist and has a bit of a following online. But he had separate usernames, one of which was NSW. For a while he was able to live off of commission work alone. He got tired of that, so he started working at my husband's workplace, which is how they met. Anyway, one day one of their co-workers approached my friend and said, "Hey man, I really like your NSW work and I've been following it for a while," which made my friend feel very awkward. Then later my friend saw a comment the co-worker had left under one of the drawings about how he was going to enjoy it later. I created a second account a while ago that I mainly used in our advice and art sheet at Math Homework. 2 weeks ago I was in math class and my professor said that he had been on Reddit and saw problem from the homework. He told us that all the questions were written by him, so he knew it had to be someone in our class posting. I whispered to my friend, I guess I can't use that account anymore. After class my friend found the post and looked down all the weird questions I had ever posted on our advice. The key is to have multiple throwaways, each one for a different theme. A throwaway account doesn't protect you as a person. It's intended to protect your Reddit account. As in, you want to tell a story, but if you comment with your main Reddit account, anyone involved in the situation will read it, know it's you, and therefore now know your Reddit account. A throwaway prevents this situation. Yes, they now know you use Reddit but don't know your main Reddit account. At least most people aren't big enough dipshits to use their Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter username as a Reddit username as well. Well, I am 3 years in, it's too late to turn back now. I think most of my friends know my username. I only use throwaways to access subs I've been banned from, which is an ever-growing number of subs. A girl I went to high school with messaged me out of the blue on Facebook once to ask me for infertility advice. We weren't close friends or anything in school, but she had seen a post I had made and connected the dots somehow. I try not to think about how she must then also surely have read all the posts where I talk about sex with my husband and the weird stuff we tried to get pregnant. This one is unsettling because of the obvious desperation of the other chick. I was really good friends with my neighbor down the street for a while, then we sort of drifted apart for various reasons. About a year after we stopped talking, my husband found her on Reddit somehow. Part of her last name was her username, so he knew it was her, and she was talking about finally ending her 12-year abusive marriage. I decided to text her to take a walk that afternoon. We did. We caught up, and we're better friends now than ever before. I never told her why I decided to reconnect. I was reading a post from a throwaway about how the author had lost his home in a flood, was struggling to pay rent on top of his mortgage, couldn't close his flood claim, and was dreading the holidays because he couldn't host his extended family as was tradition. A few days later, I met up my some neighbors for a beer. One mentioned that FEMA keeps denying him rental assistance, he can't close his flood claim, and this is going to be his first Christmas ever without his parents and siblings. I figured he had every reason to need to vent and wasn't about to say anything that would deny him a platform for expressing his anger and frustration. Well, only a few people I know have figured out who I am, but that's because I bring up our squabble often enough for them to realize I'm the mod. I had a different throwaway account, not this one, and posted my opinions on some issues at my university. A friend discovered it and shared it on Facebook and tagged me in it. I had to delete the account and block that butthole. What a dong. Strangely, I've been recognized twice with 2 different throwaways, but no one has ever connected my main account, this one, to me, other than my wife and best friends. Granted, it's probably because I make 100% sure this account would not affect me adversely if it were discovered it were mine. I intentionally don't use company name, a very strict policy, proper job titles, or company vernacular. I also make sure that when I post, I do so in a way that it could never be used against me in a future job interview. I wasn't using a throwaway, but my uncle's boyfriend happened to use a public computer after I did and found something I'd posted on Reddit. There's nothing I'm particularly ashamed of, but he seemed really weirded out about it and asked if my mom knew I had an account. I was like, I'm 23, why does that matter? There was this girl I knew, she didn't seem like the Reddit type, very girly and princessy, so I thought it would be safe to post a relevant story about her in an Ask Reddit thread. Honestly don't remember what the story was about, or what the question was, but she saw it and I guess it included enough details that she was able to figure out it was me. A few days later, I was talking to her and a few friends, and she made mention of an embarrassing thing I did. Thing was, I had only ever admitted to this embarrassing thing on Reddit. It was then that I realized that she must have found my account. She wasn't exactly the nicest person, so for the next week or so she kept telling people things I had done, and some of my secrets, and showed a few people my account. It was fine though, blew over pretty quickly. Now I make sure to make new accounts quite regularly, and no one's found me since then. Just hope she won't find me through this story. My future sister-in-law found my Reddit account. proceeded to stalk my account for several months, then post her balls made up post on our 2X chromosomes about me, all of which came to a head 5 minutes before the bride walked down the aisle at FH cousin's wedding. Fun stuff. She also still follows my posts, which is fine. I've made a point of not closing this account. I've worked hard to build this account up, and if she wants to try and bully me with her Reddit accounts and her blog, then so be it. She's the one digging the hole deeper with her brother, not me. I thought nobody at my school would see when I posted on our roast. In the end, I kinda just embraced it and told them all to do their worst. They did. Not really a throwaway, but I found my old boss's account. The username is just his first and last name. He comments on a lot of P stuff. I don't know why he does that. I went on our relationships about this girl and she found the question, never confronted me, and just stopped talking to me. I had to ask her what was wrong. Then she explained. Used to write on Literotica, erotic stories site. Looking back, it was mostly rubbish, but people seemed to like it. Literotica has an author feedback system where you can email the author directly, and I would email back thanking them. Because I was an idiot, I used the same email for Literotica as I did for regular things like Facebook and Instagram. Did not think it was a big deal when I signed up because I wasn't planning on writing anything. One guy added me on Facebook and PM'd me addressing me by my Literotica name. He was alright though. Told me how he found me and didn't hear from him on FB again when I said it made me feel uncomfortable. I have separate email accounts for real life stuff and smut now, and generally I'm much more careful with my online identity. I keep copy-pasting my own alt account badly written erotica at people when it's called for, and I've mentioned once or twice that it's actually my account. IDK. I don't go telling everyone my alt account, but nobody has actually contacted said alt about it. I thought it was well written at the time of writing, for the record. I was not the one who had their account found, but I was the one who found it. A kid at my school was in our teenagers feed talking about friend groups. He described his entire friend group in incredible detail, and it sounded almost to one at my school. Turns out it was that group. In a hoe, I asked if it was him his account the next day during school, and he had a panic attack and tried to hit me after accusing me of ruining his life. Afterwards he threatened to kill himself, and at that point I told a guidance counselor about what happened because obviously I didn't want him to kill himself over this. They basically told me that I shouldn't tell anyone what I found out and needed to apologize. It was balls that it escalated to that level, and I learned a lesson to never try and call out another man's Reddit account. Another man's teenager's Reddit account. FTFY. Sort of off topic, but I saw the guy on a sports subreddit that had just months earlier accused me of stealing his phone at the bar I work at. Finding IRL people on Reddit is a head trip. Wait, we're supposed to use throwaways for the embarrassing stuff? Nobody told me. I thought it was like when I got drunk and liked my chicks with dongs page to FB. We just had to buck and up live with it. At first, I dreaded anyone I know finding out about my account, but I seem to be the only person I know who uses Reddit. My sister knows my username, but clearly doesn't use Reddit. I'm positive she doesn't because I've written probably dozens of comments that are very critical of her because she's essentially a horrible person, and I will never run out of critical things to say about her. She openly and cruelly mocked me for cutting myself. To give a bit of perspective on the kind of person she is, I thought she didn't know and tried to tell her in a bonding moment. That was a mistake. I used to be afraid of my family finding my account, but now I kind of hope they do. Maybe they'll understand how I really feel about all the things they've said and done to me over the years, but I'm not holding my breath. This is slightly off topic, I guess, but whatever. I posted about my sister-in-law giving my daughter a lice comb and bars of soap for Christmas one year. She saw it. The next time we visited her town, she kept trying to turn the conversation around to Reddit. Did I know about this website called Reddit? Did I ever check out any of these support group subreddits? Did I know there were some for relationships? I kept my answers bland and uninformative. I could see it was frustrating her. Later she called my husband to expose me and my online doings. He laughed and asked her if any of it was a lie. No, she said, but the post embarrassed her. He asked her why that would be. If she weren't embarrassed at the time she stood in a drugstore and thought, huh, I bet my 4-year-old niece would really love 6 bars of soap for Christmas, and then he hung up on her. Wasn't a throwaway sadly. I sometimes post personal stuff on support subs, stuff that I don't share with anyone and know in real life. Friend found it. I cut them out of my life and ended up deleting that account. I now delete my account once a year because I'm paranoid about being found. I also lost out on the one place where I thought I could open up. I loved that username so much too. I once posted about a 3,000 word rant on a throwaway about how whatever the original post was about, this was a perfect example of how anime was degenerate and wrong. Within about 30 minutes 3 people asked if it was me, and by asked I mean, they already knew. It wasn't a throwaway, it was my main. My boyfriend's ex found me and started messaging me on a comment I made about his dog. That's when I found out she blamed me for their relationship ending and that I'm a home-wrecking W. So I made this, and, as far as I know, my boyfriend is the only one that knows my username. Not mine but a friend of mine. If you're going to throw away, don't post on our relationship hours after I show it to talking about your relationship with your girlfriend who I know very well and tells me crap. Out of boredom, I make sport of finding my friends' accounts and then proceed to make them really uncomfortable. I found one in particular on here in Tumblr. I expected it to be weird, but the sheer amount of pee and self-loathing made me reconsider this hobby, and to this day, he doesn't know I've discovered his accounts. Once in a while people's upvoted and downvoted crap is displayed publicly on their profile. Not sure if it's a setting, but that gets weird real quick. I technically never had a throwaway, it was just a newish account. But I did have my account outed after I done an AMA, and it was so specific you couldn't not know it was me if you knew me personally, especially with my name being part of it. No one really made a big deal of it. One friend made a joke that worried me because I didn't know it was them, lol, but that was it. A long while later I received a few messages telling me I got best offed because I spent a night just talking to people. It didn't actually go bad at all. Made me feel a bit happier and secure in my choices. I found out the owner of a bagel shop in my mid-sized city is into vor. He wasn't really subtle about it though by advertising his business on the same account he posted pee on. He seems like a pretty cool chap though. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.